would just love to hear like some popcorn answers from you. So we'll do like a quick rapid fire.
Thank Karan Johar for this.
I am 100%. Okay, awesome. Are you ready? Okay, cool.
We're very happy to have Valay with us today.
Delighted to be here. Like, I'll give you an example. In 1987, the Law Commission, I think, recommended that there should be 50 judges per million, per 10 lakh. We are at about 2021.
This statistic specifically hit me really hard when I read the report, because we're also used to complaining about how slow the judicial system is and access to justice is denied, justice delayed is justice denied.
I mean, in this sort of elusive perfection, you're not even doing what is possible and what is also good enough, at least for the time being, to alleviate the situation. I think Prayas and Square Circle and others have managed to really show the change that if you invest in social workers in prisons, you are able to get more people released on bail.
Yeah, so the Pukar initiative basically have done something very cool. It was actually India's first digital court that was launched last year, which is set to run 24/7.
Hi, welcome to another episode of the Jana podcast. I'm Priyadarshini and
I'm Smita.
and we're very happy to have Valay with us today. Today's a very interesting episode. We're going to talk about something that a lot of people complain about, which is basically their cases languishing in Indian courts. And it's so easy to pass the blame and talk about, the courts are so inefficient, but really kind of unpacking that and seeing where is this problem arising from and how systemic is it. We're really going to sit here and unpack the India Justice Report published by you and your team, which really addresses this issue. And I think it's really of national importance that we all understand why the justice system is taking so long to actually deliver justice to its citizens in India. So lovely to have you with us, Valay. Thank you for joining.
Delighted to be here.
Perfect. Hi, Valay. For those of you who may not know, Valay Singh is the lead and co-founder of the India Justice Report. Over the course of his incredible professional journey, he's played multiple roles, worn many hats. He was with the NDTV as a journalist for many years. He's been a media and policy consultant with multiple national and international organizations like Oxfam, Save the Children, Tata Trust, and so on. And he's also a prolific writer and publisher. We're very, very excited to have him here and to speak a little bit more about the India Justice Report. It's a reporting and publication initiative which produces, I think, earlier annual and now biannual and a bunch of reports over the course of year on really information about how states in India are performing across four pillars, from police to prison systems, the courts, of course, as well as legal aid. And today we're really going to be talking about how these four pillars interplay with each other. What does it really take to reimagine these processes and to rebuild systems and bring about effective systems change when we actually have so much information and beautiful insights in the IJR on how these four pillars are working? So, Valay, over to you. I think with all of this, I would love to hear from you about how did the India Justice Report start and what really intrigued you to be part of this, to start this, and can you take us a little bit over your journey of how you started this?
Thank you again for Smita. I think focusing on the issue of capacity is essential to understand why a system is not working. So the Justice Report was started as an effort to be able to talk about issues of justice, no matter what the external environment is. So we, in 2017-18, we came together, the 6 partner organizations, Daksh, Common Cause, Vidhi, Center for Legal Policy, Center for Social Justice, TISS Prayas, and CHRI. Each of our partner organizations is an expert in one or more of the 4 pillars. So it's really a sort of coming together of the collective strength of each organization, helmed by a small team, of which I'm very proud to be a part of. And you would, I think we can all agree that before we started putting out this kind of a quantitative report, people were not really talking about the system from a capacity and a empirically slash data informed perspective. So commentary remains episodic. Outrage over egregious incidents of violence or injustice, it remains episodic. It happens. We all get shocked and we all get moved and we demand justice, but then we do move on. Uh, the IGR brings together sort of siloed information across police, prisons, judiciary, and legal aid, and it uses only government data. So, no matter the external environment, this is not private or primarily collected data. There can be no bias. It is government reported data, and then it also uses government's own benchmarks. So each state's own benchmark to assess it, and then it would mean that if a state has 30% reservation for women, then is it meeting that versus another state which has only 20%, but is it even meeting the 20%? We are not assessing everybody to 30 or 33 or 50. We are assessing them to their own whatever they have set for themselves, while recognizing that it is not ideal. For instance, in the case of women, it's half the population, so should it not be half of everything, right? So that's what I mean. Um, that's how it really started, because uh, even the system, the stakeholders, the practitioners may not really know what is in their capacities constraining them from delivering to their mandate. We have about 200 to 300 cases per judge as the workload in a year. And you both are lawyers, and I mean, it's very important to constantly inform where is the capacity, what is being done to address it, and what has been recommended in the past, and what efforts have been made. Like, I'll give you an example. In 1987, the Law Commission, I think, recommended that there should be 50 judges per million, per 10 lakh. We are at about 2021.
This statistic specifically hit me really hard when I read the report, because we're also used to complaining about how slow the judicial system is and access to justice is denied, justice delayed is justice denied. But really kind of understanding in this perspective, it was really hard hitting. And I was like, oh my God, like we really are doing ourselves an injustice by not staffing our judiciary sufficiently enough for our population. And I think, like you mentioned, in the Law Commission report of 1987, they had recommended to increase it from 21, which is what it presently is at, to 50. And we're now in 2025, and we still haven't done anything about it.
Yeah, and so there are many areas. All the states are assessed across 6 themes. So budgets, that's another area, and we should probably talk a little bit about that. Budgets, workloads, infrastructure, human resources, um, and then diversity, so of caste and gender, as well as trends, so a time series analysis on certain parameters. So a state does not feel that, look, last year was really bad for me, and this report has assessed me basis that one exceptional year. So the report is kind of fair in that sense, that while it has some stock indicators or as of 1 year, it also has a bunch of indicators or parameters over several years. So the intention to improve. So in that sense, we've tried to be as balanced, as neutral, as fair as possible.
How did you come up with these 6 parameters, if I may ask?
So I think the process itself took about a year and a half.
Oh, wow. And you started 7 years ago?
We started in 2018, and we released the first one in 2019 November, and since then we've kind of followed a 2-year cycle. COVID, we managed to just survive that as well, and we've been putting out this flagship report. But other than this, we need to expand the circle of justice. You see, the perception is that justice system is for the victim and the perpetrator, and why should I really care? That's one level of understanding. The other is, of course, that it cannot change. And then the complexity is often used as a way to be like, this is so hard to reform, it's too complex, it's not like any other system, and so on. So there are, I won't say excuses, but there is that perception that this system is extremely unique, and it cannot be reformed just like any other system. So, which I suppose helps the status quo perpetuate, and it helps the people who are the vested interests holding on to continue with their sort of suzerainty.
In fact, just to put it in perspective, I think the US, for instance, has about 150 judges for every 10 lakh people. And the UK and Australia, if I'm not mistaken, has about 50 for about 10 lakh people, which is exactly what the Law Commission you mentioned had recommended. So I'm just curious to understand why have we not like kind of addressed this or corrected this, because this is not even to take into account the vacancy in positions being filled on a timely basis.
Let's stick to judges. There have been several formulae that have been recommended that you, by going by this method, you should have X number of judges per million. Going by another method, you should have another number. I think the judiciary and the government have not agreed which is that one method that. Yeah, but then, I mean, in this sort of elusive perfection, you're not even doing what is possible and what is also good enough, at least for the time being, to alleviate the situation. So you agree on something. There is the Malik Mazhar Sultan judgment. It's next year is going to be 20 years of it, and IGR will probably do an assessment of that.
Can you tell us a little bit about
Well,
that
the judgment basically tells states how to go about recruiting judges and well ahead of vacancies becoming a problem. So, in very simple terms, it says, okay, if you know tomorrow your staff is going to retire, you're a company, then you should plan not day after tomorrow, but like 6 months in advance. And then, so there is a whole lot of stuff about it. There should be recruitment criteria, timelines, everything they have mentioned in the Malik Mazhar Sultan judgment. But adherence is a problem. Now we can say that whose baby is it? I mean, is it the state? It is in the concurrent list after
So it's both center and state.
1975. It's in the concurrent list. So the lower.
Parents are not talking to each other, I think.
I mean, yeah. So it is also maybe. I think that, as Smita and the cause for backlog or cases pending for way longer than they should. Let's say they should not remain pending for more than 3 years. We're not saying they should not remain pending for 6 months. We're saying let's say 3 years is good.
Realistic
Yeah.
timeline. Yeah.
So now for 3 years, it's not just the judges who can solve cases, right? They need to have the service agencies, the police, prosecution. So this systemic understanding, I think, we are beginning to understand it better, but the stakeholders, government stakeholders, need to see it like that. Firstly, I mean, we can't blame judges alone. At the same time, the buck kind of does stop with the judiciary, and if it is arrogating to self that power and privilege, then it will naturally be held accountable for that. So you can't have it both ways, all right? So you are the custodian, so you need to take the leadership here on this. So that's what we are saying, but it's important to keep on saying it's not one pillar or one function. It is the whole, and the legal aid system is very important. So, and we should talk about that also.
We do have that on our agenda.
Yeah, we have a full laundry list.
In fact, I want to just go back to the point of you can't just blame the judges alone. And this was another statistic in your report that kind of blew me away, the case clearance rate, which is the number of cases filed each year compared with the number of cases disposed. And the average for India is about 94%. And in some states, it's more than 100%. So the case clearance rate is actually pretty good. So we can't just blame judges. Like you said, it's an ecosystem of support for all of the pillars of justice, not just the judiciary.
No, correct. But I mean, I'm saying that won't be enough. You see, how many judges are there? Let's just make it a little concrete. You ask around in law schools and universities, in well-informed audiences, they'll give you wild numbers. Like either, there are at least 1 lakh, or they'll say there at least 50,000. So they have no clue. We have about 25,000 sanctioned judges for 1.
This is including district courts, high courts, everything. Yeah.
1.4 billion.
And excluding tribunals.
Let's exclude tribunals. And they're I think we can exclude tribunals, and the main bulk of the subordinate judiciary, the civil and sessions courts, and the high courts, and the Supreme Court.
25,000.
25,000, out of which about 21,000 are actually in, working. The rest are vacant. So, if there are 21,000 judges, there are about 19 lakh police people. Out of that, you can assume that about only 10 lakh are actually doing policing work day to day. But I often sort of try to simplify it in a way that people might be able to understand that you have like exponentially larger number of waiters or people who are collecting orders, and you've got only 3 cooks in the kitchen. I mean, naturally, will there not be a delay? There would be a delay. There would be bad service. People will leave the restaurant. People will stop coming. There will always be a huge crowd waiting list, and you will not get food. So you will probably get malnourished. So that's the basic problem here, that you've got so many arrests and the liberty is taken away. Then the judges have to prioritize some kinds of cases, as we know, which is our liberties at stake or things like that. So the other kind of cases do remain pending. There are procedural problems also in the courts now, the BNSs and all that is fine, but end of the day, you do need some kind of a solutionist approach to tackling this. That how do you handle more cases are being instituted every year, which is a good thing. I mean, we talk about the judge to population ratio being very good in the US compared to us, but their litigation rates are also very high, higher than us. It's in a country that develops and there is rule of law, more people approach courts. What has happened in India, as Daksh and others have brought out, that people approach the system only as the last resort.
But isn't that good? Shouldn't we find more out of court ways of settling disputes, even preventing disputes?
No, I'm saying if there are recognized ways of ADR, alternative dispute resolution, that's fine. But I'm talking about people suffering injustice or making concessions or compromises.
Because they feel accessing justice is so difficult.
Got it.
That's one set of people. The other set has understood how to manipulate the system, and then you just want to get delays. Like you want to lock the other party in some kind of a delayed process. So you're playing the system and then process the punishment. So in both these scenarios, the common person is kind of missing out from access to justice, which is a serious issue. And if we are developing, we should have more faith in our rule of law mechanisms, and therefore more people will approach courts, and they are doing. But the courts are not revising their sanction strengths. Budget may be an issue, but maybe we can get to it when it comes up.
Yeah, no, but I think we also mentioned briefly there about how there are multiple measures that courts and judiciary have taken to solve this issue, right? And I think that was a very interesting part about the fact that there's more than 100% closure in some states. So clearly we're doing something right. And I think talking of that, one thing that always comes up in these discussions is the creation of tribunals, right? These states subject-specific tribunals like, for taxation, company law, service matters, and so on. And what do you think? What does IJR say about being able to resolve subject matter specific disputes in these quasi judicial institutions? Do you think that helps alleviate some of that burden and pressure on the judiciary?
While we've not looked at it in a deep way, but we should be aware of tribunalization as always the solution. So I think what happened is that I was talking to a lawyer just yesterday in Bombay, and he says that even these tribunals are getting stuck. I mean, but there's increasing backlog over there. My understanding is that it's not the end of the process. So cases are still reaching high courts and Supreme Court from these tribunals, as you know. I think every tribunal, the appellate is the High Court.
Same thing that happens with a lot of ADR, the alternative dispute resolution routes. A lot of people end up coming back to the Supreme Court or the High Court for enforcement.
So how has it helped? You see, the workloads of the High Court is also increasing. the workloads of the tribunals are also
But if we
increasing.
talk about the quality of resolution with having like subject matter experts sit in court, etc., do you think at least that is being
I
resolved?
think it is it is at least giving you a avenue to get resolution. Now everybody is not going to the appellate authority after the tribunal, so it's a good thing. Of course, quality maintenance is a constant thing. Just like upholding democratic principles is a constant thing, and maybe we forgot it a few decades ago, but it's not to be taken for granted. So quality everywhere has to be maintained every day, otherwise cobwebs and so on.
And do you think that so tribunals, is, of course, was one way, right? And in the last couple of years, we've also seen a lot of efforts towards digitization in court systems. Earlier, we were talking about how there's a lot more budget available now to the judiciary, and a chunk of that is going to, sourcing hardware technologies that is actually going to help them churn a lot of the data, get metadata, do a lot of translations, do transcriptions for live proceedings. We have initiatives like Suvas and Supace and a bunch of others that the Supreme Court has sort of blessed. And we are now seeing high courts like Kerala, Delhi, Karnataka. They're really coming out as champions of using some of these technologies. And there is a booming market of startups, who are trying to service a lot of these interests and demand that is coming up in this sort of ecosystem, which is really just sort of churning, booming, trying to find its feet. And I understand that IJR is entirely focused on how the government or state institutions are responding to these new initiatives. What do you think? And I know we were just talking earlier about how 2027 there's going to be the next report. How do you see the next 2 years evolving and developing in context of this massive digitization? And what do we really look forward to?
All the caveats and checks for digitization are there and have to be acknowledged, like the way Aadhaar or banking and so on, right? I think the problem is, again, I would think, my personal opinion, that it is the perception that this area is unique, that you do need offline as well. Just the e-courts or
This area is unique?
judiciary is
Ah, like
unique.
that.
Justice system is too,
Ooh, yeah.
it's
Change
too
resistance.
sensitive.
Exactly.
Very sacrosanct.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just the holy grail. And you can't just, replicate things that have worked elsewhere because, you don't understand. This is life and liberty at stake. It's too gray. It's not to be formulated in some, template. All right, fair enough. Point taken. But what IGR is going to do, we are going to 3 cities in the next 2 years. And over there, we are going to basically assess how much has technology been actually adopted into police, prisons, judiciary, legal aid, forensics, prosecution.
Amazing. Can you tell us which cities?
And yes, of course. And I hope, everybody kind of joins hands in some way because the process is going to be very collaborative and consultative, which we've already started.
Okay.
In Bangalore, Bombay, as an outlier, we've picked up Raipur. And we'll probably add more cities if we can. But these three we will do. And if we can understand and show that in your two biggest financial centers, one is a new economy, Bangalore, and one is the old financial center. How have these reforms been received? How have they been implemented? Now, after I think one of the recent CJIs left, the ones who have followed or the judges have kind of given signals that, this is not always good.
Yeah. So the rate of adoption also slows down.
Yeah, rate of so everybody brings in their own. Yeah, and therefore, it is not just a linear path, as you all also know. But I think what is it that we need to change? It's not just going to be logic, which, I mean, if that was the case, we wouldn't have so many problems, or rationality. So we have to work on how people perceive the system to be. And then I think, Kerala has started, I think it's the NI cases.
Yeah, the negotiable instrument, Section 138, check bouncing cases.
Bouncing cases, they have started with that. Pukar.
Yeah, so the Pukar initiative basically have done something very cool. It was actually India's first digital court that was launched last year, which is set to run 24/7 in Kollam district in Kerala. So again, it's a specialized court only for check bouncing cases where litigators and judges have their own dashboards. There is asynchronous hearings, real time updates, and so on. So yeah, that's definitely like one way of doing it.
That's one way of doing it. Then you were saying that, I think earlier you were saying that a lot of cases are about property. So we have RERA in the country. In Bombay, we have SRA, which is not exactly fully judicial; it's quasi-judicial. So, but I think it has to be a more sincere effort to actually resolve disputes and not just let them remain stuck. And therefore, there has to be an end, and people much more
A
serious
timeline within which it has to get
timeline and the
decided.
certainty. It doesn't start again. And how do we do that? I mean, that no technology can really do. And that has to be done at the level of the, Supreme Court and the Parliament, actually.
Do you think that just on that point, and maybe going one level deeper when we talk about technology adoption and interventions in these state institutions. Of course, access to funds is one, then deciding what technology is best suited for X, Y, and Z use cases, of course, another, where we see a lot of intelligence homegrown in India, and we can all be very proud of that. So I think those are still concerns that are largely taken care of. I think the third thing that I have seen, at least in the last couple of months and years, is that there is a resistance to that change of the old ways of working, right? Because it will definitely upend some people's work, daily jobs that they're doing. It will,
And it's not going to be perfect on day one. They're going to have glitches.
Exactly, it's going to be chaotic, and
Yeah.
there's going to be an entire steep learning curve that so many different stakeholders will have to go through to arrive at. Acha, now there is less pendency because of soups, right? For example, so I think what are some of those challenges, those points that everybody will disagree on initially? How do we go through that period of learning and change with grace, with some amount of learning from each other, right, so to speak? And yeah, just this is something that keeps me awake at night, so just thought I'll ask you what you think.
Well, I don't think there's going to be any, sorry to say, but any dramatic improvement.
What do you mean?
Because
In what?
you see, I'll give you. Sorry, I'm just painting a sort of realistic picture. There is the Sonadhar judgment, Justice Oak, and I'm forgetting the name, which said that if a person has been granted bail, the bail order should be emailed to the respective jail or prison. That was 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago. This is a simple integrated criminal justice system, ICJS related order.
Yeah, similarly, this summons can be sent on WhatsApp.
So I think summons are being sent
Yeah,
on
yeah,
WhatsApp.
they are.
But this one is so important. Supreme Court heard it. They passed an order. They said no, not even 1 day extra should a prisoner spend in jail. That has not been done.
Why not?
It's not been done because there is resistance at the various levels of courts and jails now, or governments. I don't know. I know that some good judges are getting the orders emailed. That I know. To the prisons. And now this is not concerning, India's economic growth. This is concerning Indian citizens'
Quality of life.
liberty and rights. But when you talk about economic growth as well, and we have all the tribunals, and what's the rate of contract enforcement? There are regulators after regulators who will change their own orders without any notice or due process. It just happened in Maharashtra.
And sometimes retrospectively.
Yeah, almost always retrospectively. And it happened in Maharashtra in the case of renewable energy 2 weeks ago, where they've suddenly changed the terms of the contract, making it unfeasible for power producers to actually, continue to produce power or give power to their clients at the same rates. And then that matter has gone to the Bombay High Court, where they have got relief. So these kind of things are happening. It's basically, I think, a lack of accountability, and you are just getting away with whatever, because you know that by the time it is actually heard, either
Nobody cares about the
you're
matter.
not there or it's been forgotten. I think admittance is actually delayed in Bombay High Court a lot. Cases not getting admitted. They are being heard without being admitted because people just want some relief. They know that admittance will actually happen after a couple of years. So, yes, we should embrace technology actually, like we have done in almost every other sphere of life. And why is this so special? At least in some processes, I think we need to identify and really make our arguments more public and more simple to understand, and make the connection that okay, this is not going to let somebody swindle you or take advantage you. This is safeguarded. And actually, you know what? I mean, if it is just about getting a hearing, and if your lawyer is gaming you, then that brings us to the lawyers. So there should be some kind of quality check at the lawyer's end. We just can't leave them out of this equation. And what is it that we need to do in not just the NLSS, but all law schools? What does the Bar Council of India need to do? And I think we really need to hold these our lawyer friends to account. Yeah, and really.
Otherwise, they get adjournment after
Because,
adjournment.
people are, I mean, it's basically human beings trusting an expert to get them some relief from the code of law. And that expert, if there's the middle person, is taking advantage of the gullible, and most of us are not law literate at all. Then technology as well can be gamed, and I suppose a lot of resistance comes from those vested interests, as we were
I
saying.
was just going to say that incentives are not aligned at all. If we want to reduce the time it is taking to serve justice, if we want to increase the quality of the justice being served, of course, for citizens and even judges for that matter, that incentive is aligned to a large extent. But what about the person who's actually hitting send on that email, right? Usko to lag raha hai mera kaam khatam ho raha hai yaar. Earlier, it used to take me 5 days to go and submit that application. Now it's taking me 30 seconds. What else do I do in that 4 days that I have now, right? And I think those are valid questions, and I don't think we are asking or we are trying to answer those questions. I think we are scared of that almost.
Yeah, so I actually have a perspective on this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how popular it would be, but I feel like once you make
Yeah, safe space.
That's
safe space. The three of us on the internet, safe space.
so I think that actually the interesting thing is that when you do things more efficiently, you open the gamut of access to more people. So there will be more people coming and filing.
You democratize it.
Exactly. And you increase the, like you said earlier, there are so many people who are not filing their disputes in court because they feel, what's the point? Like, it's anyway just going to languish and I'm not really going to get justice. But once you have efficiency in the system, you will increase that number of people who are actually approaching court for relief. So I feel like it's the same
I 100%
argument.
agree with you. I 100% agree. My only thing is that this will probably take, let's say, 2 years, 3 years.
Much more.
Exactly, right? I was trying to be like optimistic here. But yes, exactly, right? So what do we do in the interim? How do we make people's lives easier in the interim? Today. I don't know. I think nobody, because it is only when we are able to make that A to B timeline clear for people that they'll be like, if I do these 3 things today, it will lead to a more efficient system in 5 years.
Yeah.
But I think for me, as somebody who's working in, like a police station, for me to do those 5 things, I'm not bothered. I don't know why I need to do it. What is my incentive to do it? 5 saal baad tab ki tab dekhenge. That's the attitude.
Yeah. No, sure. I mean, where you said police station, so let us talk about police, right? Well, I mean, sorry, it's a long game. I'll just bring in the health sector here. We did not reduce the rate of malnourished children in 5 years or 10 years. It took us 40 years. Right? We had almost, I think, the top 5 or top 10 countries with the highest burden of children with malnutrition. It happened because the entire country, the National Health Mission was launched. It became the most important ministry financially for a long time. And then we are able to have healthier children. So this tricky issue, yes, it can happen if everybody gets aligned and says, yes, we actually are sincere, we want to give justice. But now, let's say police, the working arm of the justice system, the most public interface of the justice system, it is populated by only like 10% women. For 50% of the population, you've got only 10% visible of their kind in a feudal country with feudal hangovers, very strongly entrenched feudal society. You have only 10% women. There are Ministry of Home Affairs guidelines renewed every year. Have 3 women sub-inspectors, have 10 women constables in every police station. Nobody complies. This is what we check. We've been checking now for 4 years. Nobody is complying with it. You go to you go.
Is it because there aren't enough police candidates that are applying?
There are many reasons given. There are no probably surprises to you. Or women have to go. Their biological needs are different. That doesn't really fit into the kind of work police does. Women are not healthy. I mean, healthy enough. They don't pass the fitness test. Women are.
But that's probably because the fitness test has not been designed for women.
So the
And they're not
system.
being trained accordingly.
Yeah, so the system, exactly. So the system is refusing to change itself to address the biological needs or differences of half of the population. So is it good enough to have 1 token person women somewhere or 3 token women somewhere and so on? So there are only 10% women in the police. You go to many police stations, you won't find a usable loo where a person can go, and that is very common even in metros. Even I don't want to name those police stations, but this is where they can start. This is very doable. This is basic human rights.
And the funding for this is sanctioned.
Of course, I mean, what kind of funding would it be needed that our country cannot afford? That you can't build loose. Like I'm saying,
Question of affordability. I'm saying, is it written in paper that this amount of money has been allocated for this kind of work? Yeah.
the thing is, Meta, governments can do anything. They can divert funds from rocket science to agriculture. It's about will. Governments do not need our permission or our consultation. What I am saying is that there is no, like, it is not a procedural thing that nobody thought of it to put it in the budget, so it cannot be constructed. If they wanted to do it, if they are made to do it, they will do it. That's what I'm saying. Why are women judges not going to? I mean, why is this not a attractive profession? Police. You're not making it attractive. Is most of the job like running over fences and like shooting? And no, most of the job is clerical, mental, cerebral. It's not jumping through nalis and catching criminals. It's not. Most of it is not. So what is the reason, right? So there is, of course, we have to acknowledge this is a reflection of our society. So we can't we can't wait for society to change. We have to change the system, and then, because you can change the system. A DGP can change his
What
or her
comes
police.
first?
A DGP can change his or her police. DGP cannot change the society of his or her state. So I think there we should not overcomplicate it. This is basic. You do the basic while the harder questions are being addressed and solutions are being sought and lobbying and advocating is being done for those even good things that will make sense. Commercial courts are, look at commercial courts. Yeah? How many are there? We launched so many of them because we wanted to improve our ranking on ease of doing business, the global ranking. We need many more. We actually kind of stopped. We said, "Nahi, I think this is enough."
On what grounds?
But disputes are, there's increasing. So increased commercial, it's a good example. It just came into, comparatively, it just came into being compared to other regular courts. We are not even updating or maintaining or revising the strengths there or the numbers there. So there are live examples of where we need to hit and ask for improvements, while we say, okay, this subordinate judiciary will take a long time.
No, I was actually trying to tie this into the 4 pillars of the India Justice Report, which is the police, the prisons, legal aid, and the judiciary. And it's so important to kind of not look at them in silos, which we often tend to do, but look at how they are really interconnected with each other and how the efficiency in one or the lack of it can really impact another pillar. And I think what's so amazing is that the India Justice Report takes this into consideration and comprehensively looks at each of these 4 pillars in perspective. So would love to hear, how did you all even think about this and putting this together? And also any particular state which stands as a forerunner in any of these 4 pillars of justice?
No. So I think our main motivation remains that it's all fine to critique and criticize the system, but please let us look whether the system has been equipped with what it needs to deliver to mandate. And we felt that that part was missing. The supply side analysis, input side analysis was missing.
And let's transparently showcase that.
And let's keep on showing it, because there's perception that is Indian government systems are inefficient and corrupt. Might be while it's valid to some extent, a great extent, depending on who you are, where you are. But it is also a fact that the Indian justice system is underfunded and under resourced severely. So we wanted to show that, and we totally understand that simply increasing judge strength will not lead to whatever ideal outcomes. We understand, but our thing is that you just can't shortcut this. You have on one hand the judiciary strongly resisting technology's adoption beyond a point, and AI, you guys probably know this, AI is facing a huge wall that okay, you can do it till here, but don't even think about anything more. So that is there. So then you do need the human intelligence, and what are we doing to invest in that? So we talk about things like training. No state is spending more than 1 to 2% of its own judiciary budget or police budget on training its judges or on training its staff, high court staff, subordinate court staff. So then what's the good in saying, oh, the judges are of not the same quality as before? But are you really other countries take 2 years of actual training. I think in our country, about after 6 months, then you're learning on the job. And because the workload is so much, you're constantly firefighting. Among the states that tend to do better, all relative, are southern states, which is probably not a surprise. Southern states do better on almost all governance-related indices and parameters. They are better educated. They are better, equipped with health systems, and there is generally better perception of rule of law, and that reflects and seeps into the justice system. On things like diversity, which is a huge aspect of our system and our society, there we see that while vacancies are stagnant at to about 20% average figures, we are not able to meet diversity quotas for the most historically marginalized and excluded sections for the last 50-60 years. So women has just become an issue, let's say 30 years ago. But these other categories of, other sections of people have remained an issue. And we have still not been able to fill. So only some like Karnataka, a few states are able to meet all their diversity quotas. But I would say that it's not to say that Karnataka the average person feels that the rule of law is great. Yeah. But an average person of Karnataka will tell you that it is better than Bihar. It's better than your Uttar Pradesh. Yeah. I've lived in Bangalore for a long time. And they will tell you that. And as somebody from the north, you will have to accept it. And I think that honesty is needed.
Yeah, that acceptance is needed, no? First, only then can you change.
You mentioned Raipur earlier. Can you tell us a little bit more about how it is a beacon of hope?
Oh, right. No, beacon of hope. I have no idea. We picked it up because it's
We're hoping it's a beacon of hope.
It's a newer state. Chhattisgarh, undivided Madhya Pradesh. And therefore, it's a newer capital city.
So they can start afresh.
Yeah, so we thought, it's a good outlier contrast to to Bombay and Bangalore. And that's why we've picked it up. Raipur doesn't even have a police commissionerate, for example, just now. So we've set us up for a huge challenge, actually. A lot of the data will have to be taken out of the government through their cooperation, which is not always easy. We are hoping that we would be able to show that in a smaller size city, this is what you need to do to have some, being closer to ideal scenarios. So we'll show what's the police to population ratio in Bombay. How many years does a case remain pending in Bombay's courts, district courts. What's the disparity in deployment of resources within this large metro city of Bombay? Similarly, Bangalore, which is somewhere between, neither here nor there. Its systems, it's still serving, I think the city courts are serving rural areas, what were rural areas but are now in Bangalore. So they have to make certain policy changes there at that level of having more courts, for example, or having more DLSs. Like the legal services of our country, on one hand, we say we are great, like we are very progressive. We say we give free legal aid.
I mean, it's a constitutional right.
Yeah, we give free legal aid, and on a lighter note, there is God in everyone. But we spent about 3 to 6 rupees per capita on legal aid. Or for the entire country, the budget just crosses about 1,000 crore rupees on legal aid systems. Uh, how are we going to give free legal? We are not giving free legal aid. That's why this joke, free legal aid for poor is poor legal aid. That's why this joke, people would like even a completely penurious person is going to borrow money and hire a lawyer because money means quality. And so we need to invest in legal aid as well. I mean, this is police, it will arrest. This is the court. There you need the legal aid. At the police station, you need the legal aid lawyer or somebody to inform the person of their rights, to make sure that the rights are not being violated. In courts, you need quality representation. In jails, chalo, you're an under trial, you've been sent to jail. In jail also, you need legal aid. Yeah, be in touch with you, tell you what's happening with your case. Everywhere you need legal aid.
What do you think of the paralegal volunteers, the PLV scheme that Ministry of Justice and NALSA try to?
I and IJR is I think huge proponent of this paralegal volunteer system. We talk to people like you guys and other organizations who work on the ground all the time, and those insights and concerns often flow into our report like they have this time. We have highlighted that the PLV numbers have reduced by nearly 40% over the
Really? I was
last
just going to say they've increased.
over the last 5 years. They've reduced by 38% actually, and they don't even get paid. So they are paid like not even daily wages in most states. So the daily wage is the minimum wage. You're not even paid that. Um, we we are not using them. While I think in principle it's a good idea to have a loose, flexible eligibility, that you don't need to be a law graduate to be or a
And I think that
graduate.
is the-
That is a good thing.
Yeah.
But then that sometimes becomes, it's basically a community worker. It can also be a law graduate. A paralegal volunteer is like, again, we'll go back to that health.
It's like an ASHA worker who also knows your legal
So
rights.
pay them, no?
Of course.
Pay them. Why are you giving them 200 rupees after 3 months?
Yeah, yeah. You know, somebody from Center for Social Justice once told me that a paralegal is basically somebody who has 1 feet in the community and 1 feet in the law, 1 foot in the law, right? Because they are somebody who's actually going to be on your side. Because you see in like rural or whatever, some areas you'll see that people are actually afraid of going to lawyers, right? They're afraid that they'll charge me more money. I don't know if they're giving me right advice. So it's actually
And lots of times they've been duped also by lawyers.
exactly. You're hearing all of these experiences, so you don't know who you can really trust. And it's the PLV who actually comes in and says, okay, I will walk you through this, legal proceeding and help you fight or whatever, fight the case in court and so on. And I think that technology there can have a big role to play in increasing their efficiency, increasing the numbers also, right? Aligning with the incentive structure, because like you rightly said, they are not paid well enough. They do not even have, very small example, right? Let's say I'm a PLV and I'm going on a ground. I'm dealing with 30 cases right now. I have a physical diary in which I'm writing all my notes, right? And 6 months later, let's say Nalsa asks me, acha us case ka kya hua? I don't even know where that diary is. There is no central case management system that is tracking what is happening to my case. So for me as just an individual, there is no sort of benefit of doing this. I'm not feeling satisfied because I don't know what result or impact I've had. Nalsa doesn't know on what grounds it should hire or get more PLVs because उन्हें पता ही नहीं है what is the success rate, disposal rate. There is just such a dearth of data, right? Because there are no systems in place that can actually tell you. So I 100% also agree that PLV is
PLVs, social workers in prisons. I think Prayas and Square Circle and others have managed to really show the change that if you invest in social workers in prisons, you are able to get more people released on bail. You are able to decongest prisons. They have that evidence, and I think they will. We'll all get to see it eventually. But social workers again in prisons very important. I mean, these are not British jails, colonial times. You have to let citizens in if you are well meaning truly. So you need to have more social workers, more people entering prisons. You can do a certification and checking, but you need to make prisons more open. And therefore, we talk about, there are jails, about 80, more than 80 jails, which have been overcrowded, like double the capacity for the last 3 years. So 250% occupancy rates for the last 3 4. These are chronic areas.
And I was reading that they actually need to take turns sleeping because there's not enough space to actually do that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I read a case study the other day, and it has nothing to do with the law and justice sector. And I'm actually want to bring it up here and hear from you maybe on how we can learn from it, perhaps. It basically said that there was one university which was trying to do a lot of fundraising for the different activities, scholarships, and so on. They had about, I think, 40 people in the sort of a call center, in a call center kind of setup, who were calling a lot of the alumni of the university and trying to get them to fund some of these efforts. So it had a 90% rejection rate, right? So they were like, "Are kaise? How do we improve it? This that," and they did a bunch of like, "Okay, we'll give you bonus, we'll give you this," like a lot of financial and economic incentives to help these scholars do a lot more fundraising. Did not work. They hired like some change management professional, and basically he or she, I don't remember, but they basically said that they emailed one of the students who had received scholarship from the funds that had been raised by one of the alumni, and that student wrote a very nice email saying, "Oh, this changed my life. I was not able to go to I would not have been able to go to college if not for this," and so on. Now this person sent this student's email to all of those 40 people in that call center setup. Within 2 weeks, within 3 weeks, there was a spike in the amount of calls they were making, in the amount of money they were able to raise, and so on. And then it just became sort of a regular exercise, right? Where
Because they
these
suddenly saw the impact of what they do.
exactly they found purpose, right? And they
Yeah.
were like, and every almost week they started getting student beneficiaries into that call center setup, and they would just come and talk about uh, you know how that money helped them, and that was life changing for them. So I hear you say that it's not just one kind of incentive that, oh, this will increase ease of doing business, but also that it'll increase, I don't know what,
Public morale.
public morale. Yeah. So are we able to communicate this effectively, that if you do A, B will result, B will happen, and this is your role to play in it? I think people are not seeing their role in it.
Because it seems like so mammoth, right? You look at the whole justice system and you're like, what can I really do? I can't really make a change. And then you kind of say, if I can't make a change really, then should I even bother?
Yeah, no, fair. I think the change, like, and validation and encouragement, all of these are values that spur us, whether we are producers, shooters, judges, fundraisers, whatever. Yeah, I think if you can, so there, look, and the system is mammoth. I would say we end up patting our backs on the basis of what happens in a court of 34 judges and what great innovations are tried over there. We should stop doing that. We should really look the problem in the eye where the problem is the largest, which is at the district judiciary. Why are judges assessed on the basis of simply cases disposed? We need to look at their assessment criteria. Why are we treating PLVs like, they are rich enough, or they are good enough, or they just can need 500 rupees because the people they are serving are not important enough? We need to look at this as a serious issue of access to justice and fund the legal aid system. So, and then thereafter, this issue of change is incremental, it will always be incremental. But at the same time, I think when we all come together to say we wanted women to have more access to justice and feel more safe, the government pumped billions of rupees into CCTV cameras. It pumped billions, I mean, lot of rupees in those DNA kits in every police station. What you were saying, what are the other kind of changes? I think we need to listen to the actual working end, which is the front line of the justice system. Are we listening to them enough? One judge's conference or one DGP's conference or one DG prisons conference is not enough. You need to do this on a more regular, granular basis to really make an impact. Otherwise, there's no good. Like another thing, government can reduce its own litigation, and I think government has just 2 days ago taken some steps. I think they started 3-4 months ago. They are at least beginning to talk about the problem of government litigation, government departments fighting each other in court. I think that is something in their control which they should address. I think they are having that conversation. Excellent. And that conversation should happen in many more places at all levels and so on. We can address that, right? And then the service agencies, which we should touch upon at least. Every other case involves some forensic evidence. How many scientists are there in the country? There are 10,000 sanctioned positions roughly. There are less than 6,000 actual forensic scientists to sit and analyze whether her fingerprints are on the weapon or at the place wherever crime was committed. Who else? We don't have. So there are 5 crore cases. You would think at least 40%, 30% are criminal cases. All of them would need, so there are 2 crore cases. All of them would have multiple samples. All of them, chalo, there are many old cases, but at least 50,000 cases or 60,000 cases come every year. I'm giving very low numbers. Yeah, even 50,000 cases would have, I don't know, 2-3 lakh samples. To analyze all of that, there are 5,000 people. So invest in it, right? I mean, you cannot change the system by putting something here. It doesn't have feet to stand on currently. What's the point of doing makeup? So there's a lot of potential. We can hit the government litigation docket. And that's where I think that conversation is happening. And the rest of it, we need to keep our own focus on basics. But I have a very small wish list for next year. And you can make it happen. Which is that our district judges are extremely overworked. I'm not saying every single one of them is honest and working hard. I'm not saying that.
Let's say it. Let's say it for the sake of this.
For the sake of always that 1%, let's not say it, right? Yeah. But most of them are. They are working hard. They don't. The quality of support staff they have varies. They need to have more resources to help them with their preparation for tomorrow's hearing cases, and then coming back home and writing the orders, looking up case law, and so on and so forth. Our High Court judges get each, I think, an intern or 2 at 80 grand a month. Very good. All the law graduates go there. Very good, right? And the Supreme Court also. There are about 20,000 actual judges in the district judiciary. My plea is that you give them each 1 or 2 interns at 40,000 rupees. I have calculated. It comes up to well below, I think, 60 crores annually. So that's my one wish.
That could have a very large impact.
That I think will have an impact. While you're not able to recruit judges at the rate you should, while you keep on saying that the quality of law graduates is not good enough. So while you present all these fait accompli arguments, I am saying only give interns, paid clerks.
And what do you think? What would be an exponential sort of wish for you? You know, especially as we are in the AI age, so to speak of. Do you think there is any exponential impact that the infusion of AI technology, whether it's at the level of creating interoperable case management systems, creating transcription systems, translation tools, where would you place your money?
Yeah, on all of that, what you said, translation, using it to democratize, make it more accessible in knowledge and processes. Yeah, access to maybe even small kinds of relief. You don't need, I think ODR is great for things like electricity and things, traffic challans, water bills, all those issues. You don't need to come to a court. So I think there is movement, and it's just about. I think copycat behavior will follow very soon. So I'm very hopeful that ODR will be incorporated into dispute resolution.
Could you just in a minute just explain what ODR is for our audience?
Pita is a better place to, but I'll try. Well, I would say that is a ODR full form is online dispute resolution. So I think it allows a consumer or a customer or a user to remotely get raise a grievance and then ask for some kind of relief. And at the other end, you don't need a large team of human beings adjudicating or listening to those matters. Some of them are very formulaic type of grievances, and those can be just identified and addressed by an automation of processes. If a human intelligence angle is required, then that issue is escalated and then it can be addressed. Is that right?
No, absolutely. And the best part is that it's all enforceable. Right? That this is not something that, oh, I'll go and do and it's just between the three of us and then, I go do whatever I want. It's actually, I have to do it. So, like,
Sanctified by
Yeah.
legal
Yeah.
law
Process.
and run with it. And I think in some level, we had made the suggestion as part of a Niti Aayog document on Vision 2047 for Andhra Pradesh. And Vidhi and us, we had made that suggestion. So I think progressive states will follow, and the laggards and the more traditional states will they will lead, and the others will follow. So they will follow. That one is very confident that copycat behavior will happen on that.
This has been quite an interesting discussion, but I would just love to hear like some popcorn answers from you. So we'll do like a quick rapid fire. And I promise this part is not rehearsed. So
Thank Karan Johar for this.
yeah, I'm 100%. Okay, awesome. Are you ready? Okay, cool. So the first question is, which state do you think is at the forefront of innovation today in India?
I think, well, Kerala is obvious one, but Karnataka is also there. Yeah.
Awesome. And which state do you see growing the fastest when it comes to access to justice in the next 5 years?
I hope Delhi does.
Okay.
Not a rural state, but Delhi does, I hope. Yeah.
Got it. What's one myth about the justice system that you would love to bust?
That it works.
Okay. Nobody.
I don't think anyone believes that. That's not a myth.
It's not a myth. That it cannot be reformed. I think that's a strong belief, but I think we think it can be reformed. So
Yeah, I like that. What surprised you the most while you were putting together the last IJR? Some statistic that blew your mind.
yeah, in fact, positive. The legal aid spending has increased. Most states are giving about 70% or more funds. So yeah, legal aid spending is growing up in the country. Not enough, not even close, but it's growing. It was a surprise.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's really good to hear. What's more overwhelming? A Delhi court cause list or your email inbox? Be honest.
Honorable court has much more workload.
That's the most respectable answer. Defer to the courts.
Okay. When it comes to police reform, do you think we should go top down or grassroots first?
We should go top down, and we should enforce, fish rots at the head, and we should go top down while we fix the problems of the front line of the police force. Yeah, but make the top accountable.
Okay.
Yeah.
It has to come from
Yeah, it has to flow from some of this.
Got it. What would you rather? More data or better use of data?
Thoughtfully understood and sincerely used data, not more or not anything. And also, data is not numbers alone. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Census 2027. What do you think? Are you excited?
Finally, and keep your fingers crossed till it actually happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Digitization in quotes. Do you think it's, I mean, I think we all know it's inevitable, but do you think it's
And it's already happening in some way, shape, or form.
positive, largely negative?
Depends, but uh, it's a better substitute than paper, and I don't think there should be any resistance to it. It's not going to eat up jobs. It's not going to lead to miscarriage of justice. Put in the checks and adopt it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. I think just one last question. Are you more comfortable in front of the camera or behind the camera?
In my previous avatar, I was always behind the camera, but I think I'm a yeah. If it's not in front of me right now, it's on the side, so it's great.
Okay, cool.
Just as long as the camera is there, he's good.
Yeah, it just should be around him. Got it. Okay, awesome. I think this was great.
I think we all learned a lot. And I think what was really important for us at Jana was to kind of showcase the work y'all are doing at the India Justice Report, because I felt that a lot of the things that you have written about are things that all of us ordinary citizens of India deeply care about. So it was important for us to kind of showcase some of the findings in that report and talk about how we can actually do something to, even talking about it is us doing something to raise awareness about the state of affairs in the Indian justice system. So thank you for firstly producing the India Justice Report, and you'll have been doing it now for 7 years, and for doing it in collaboration with so many other wonderful agencies, because I think you're bringing a lot of good data to the surface. So that's been really good. And thank you for your time today. We've all learned a lot.
So thank you, guys. Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's amazing what you're doing, and that we are having these conversations much more frequently and of all sorts. The holy grail nature of the thing, or it's too complex, is slowly changing, which is great. And on behalf of the entire collective of India Justice Report and our team, it's a small team. Thank you very much for having us here.
Thank you.